Right when the internet was busy debating celebrity fashion and reality TV chaos, Prince Harry and Meghan Sussex stepped into something far more urgent: the fight to protect children online. No fanfare, no performative outrage, just a clear, direct message through their foundation, Archewell Foundation, that the era of tech platforms prioritizing profit over safety cannot continue unchecked. This wasn't a vague statement padded with diplomatic softness. It was a firm acknowledgement that for too long, families harmed by cyberbullying, online exploitation, and algorithm-driven manipulation have been forced to carry their grief alone while billion-dollar corporations refined engagement metrics. Harry and Meghan made it clear: safeguarding childhood is not optional. It is not a PR talking point. It is a societal responsibility. Through Archewell's Parents Network initiative, they have spent years listening directly to families who experienced the worst consequences of online harm. These are not abstract statistics. These are mothers and fathers who lost children to cyberbullying spirals, to algorithm-amplified harassment, to online pressures that adults struggle to navigate, let alone teenagers. The Sussexes have consistently emphasized that when platforms are engineered to maximize time spent, emotional intensity becomes profitable. And when emotional intensity becomes profitable, outrage and vulnerability become commodities. At the same time, a major legal moment is unfolding in Los Angeles, where jury proceedings are examining whether companies such as Meta and Google designed their platforms in ways that knowingly increased addictive behaviors among young users. The language being used is striking: not encouraged engagement, not optimized user experience. The word is addiction. And globally, momentum is building. Spain, Australia and France have introduced or strengthened digital safety measures aimed at protecting minors from exploitative content loops. Harry and Meghan's statement acknowledged these efforts while stressing something deeper: no one nation can solve a borderless problem alone. The internet does not respect geography. Harm does not require a passport. What makes their intervention powerful is its clarity. They challenge tech companies to adopt child well-being as a first principle of design, not as an afterthought, not as a compliance box to check once lawsuits emerge, as a foundational standard. Because when safety becomes secondary to quarterly earnings, children pay the price. And the contrast could not be sharper. While the Sussexes were pushing for global child protections, headlines in Britain swirled once again around Prince Andrew and renewed scrutiny related to his past association with Jeffrey Epstein. Reports indicated discussions between Thames Valley Police and prosecution authorities regarding historic allegations connected to Andrew's former role as a trade envoy. The juxtaposition speaks volumes. One prince is publicly confronting systemic digital harm affecting millions of children worldwide. Another continues to be linked to one of the most infamous criminal scandals of the modern era. And yet, media framing often seems inverted. Activism is labelled publicity, while scandal is treated as fatigue-inducing history. But facts are stubborn. Harry and Meghan left institutional comfort not to disappear quietly, but to build something purpose-driven. Since stepping back from senior royal roles, their focus has been remarkably consistent. Mental health, community resilience, veteran rehabilitation, and digital responsibility. And that brings us to another unfolding chapter: the continued global expansion of the Invictus Games Foundation. The Invictus Expansion, Denmark, 2029. While speculation and palace tension dominate some corners of the press, Harry has been looking 5 years ahead. Representatives from Denmark's Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Defence, national Olympic bodies, and broadcasters recently met with the Invictus Games Foundation to explore a formal bid to host the 2029 Games. This is not ceremonial symbolism. The Invictus Games bring tangible psychological and physical rehabilitation pathways to wounded, injured, and sick service personnel. Since launching the Games in 2014, Harry has transformed what began as a single event into a global movement spanning the United Kingdom, Canada, Germany, the Netherlands, Australia, and beyond. The Denmark bid underscores the credibility Invictus now carries. Governments do not mobilize multi-agency delegations for vanity projects. They do so for initiatives that demonstrate measurable impact on national veteran communities. Meanwhile, preparations are underway for the return of Invictus to Birmingham in the United Kingdom, marking a decade since its original British launch. And suddenly speculation has resurfaced about whether King Charles III might attend or even open the Games. It's a striking development. For years, narratives emphasized estrangement. Now, as Invictus returns home, there is renewed interest in symbolic unity. Whether or not such attendance materializes, the underlying truth remains. Invictus has grown beyond palace politics. It is sustained by athletes, families, medical professionals, and partner nations. Harry did not inherit Invictus. He built it. At its core, the Games redefine recovery. They reject the notion that injured veterans should fade quietly from public consciousness. Instead, they center resilience, community, and pride. Every expansion represents another country investing in that philosophy. And through it all, Meghan has consistently supported the ecosystem around Invictus, championing mental health conversations, supporting families, and reinforcing the idea that recovery extends beyond competition venues into long-term community networks. Influence beyond titles. The broader theme, connecting online safety advocacy and Invictus expansion, is this: influence rooted in action rather than status. Harry's willingness to confront tech industry practices reflects his long-standing concern about digital toxicity, a concern shaped by personal experience with tabloid culture and online harassment. Meghan's advocacy has long highlighted the disproportionate impact of online abuse on women and young people. Together, they have translated lived experience into structured initiatives. Critics often reduce their work to public relations optics. Yet meaningful PR rarely involves challenging trillion-dollar industries or aligning with grieving families who demand regulatory reform. Those positions invite scrutiny, not applause. At the same time, the resurgence of scrutiny surrounding Prince Andrew serves as a reminder that silence does not erase history. Institutional discomfort does not dissolve public memory. The Sussex model appears fundamentally different. Confront issues directly, even when inconvenient. A broader digital reckoning. The global conversation about digital safety is reaching a turning point. Studies increasingly show correlations between excessive social media exposure and anxiety, depression, and self-harm ideation among adolescents. Lawmakers across continents are debating age verification standards, content moderation transparency, and algorithmic accountability. Harry and Meghan's intervention aligns with this wider reckoning. Their statement emphasized that safeguarding childhood cannot be left solely to parents navigating opaque systems. When platforms are engineered with persuasive design features modeled after behavioral psychology experiments, individual discipline alone cannot counter systemic manipulation. Their challenge to tech companies was simple: design with child well-being as a first principle, or governments will continue to intervene through courts and legislation. That is not hostility, it is accountability. The maturity of long-term vision. Another striking element is time horizon. While media cycles obsess over weekly narratives, Invictus planning stretches years ahead. Denmark 2029 represents confidence in sustainability. It reflects a leader operating beyond immediate noise. Similarly, digital reform is not a short campaign. It is a multi-year policy battle involving legal frameworks, international cooperation and cultural change. Both initiatives online, child safety and veteran rehabilitation, require patience and coalition building. They are not trending hashtags. They are structural efforts. Public perception shift. Over time, a perceptible shift has occurred in public discourse. Early predictions that Harry and Meghan would fade into irrelevance have not materialized. Instead, partnerships with governments, NGOs and international bodies continue to expand. If they were irrelevant, Denmark would not be bidding. If Invictus lacked impact, it would not draw consistent participation from nations across Europe and North America. If digital advocacy were hollow, it would not resonate with parents who have demanded reform for years. Success leaves evidence, and evidence accumulates. A different model of leadership. There is also a generational dimension. Traditional royal roles often emphasize ceremonial continuity. The Sussex approach emphasizes thematic focus, mental health, digital responsibility, adaptive sports, community healing. One model protects legacy. The other attempts to redefine it. Neither path is simple, but one is undeniably forward-facing. Whether King Charles attends the Birmingham Games or not, Invictus will proceed. Whether tech executives voluntarily redesign algorithms or face courtroom mandates, reform pressure will intensify. The Sussexes appear committed to remaining on the side of momentum rather than nostalgia. The core contrast. Ultimately, this chapter highlights a defining contrast. Confronting tech giants over child safety versus navigating recurring scandal narratives. Expanding a global rehabilitation movement versus managing institutional reputation cycles. Planning 5 years ahead versus reacting to yesterday's headlines. Prince Harry's legacy increasingly centres on empowerment of wounded veterans and digital responsibility. Meghan's influence continues to amplify community-driven initiatives with a global lens. Noise fades. Infrastructure endures. And in both the online safety debate and the expansion of Invictus, infrastructure is exactly what they are building.